So what'd you guys get me?
Nothing if you keep asking.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
Getting tabled.
With the Bruce, the Yank, and Major Socks.
I love the fact that that's very clearly pasted over the top of the old one.
No, that's a completely new audio file, and this is Getting Tabled with your host, Major Socks.
Finally, after almost 7 months now. Thanks, George. Appreciate it.
Yeah, whatever. And then we got the Bruce.
Well, George was happy to ignore me every time I reminded him, but then somebody else reminded him and it forced him to actually say something and do something.
What?
I have been constantly harassing you over that for months.
That's fair.
Hello, folks. Welcome to Getting Tabled. How's the week been, guys?
Good. Been real good.
Boring and then exhausting all of a sudden, suddenly.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, shall we chat about some news?
This stuff?
Newly received or noteworthy information, especially about recent or important events.
All right.
Today's Games Workshop game. Oh wait, no. We need to talk about actual news, not stuff we make up.
What on earth was you... What?
I am glad I caught you off guard, Bruce.
I don't know what on earth George is on, but we'll make sure he doesn't have any more next time. Okay. Black Templars are out. This is an interesting one because this has been something that most of the communities have been screaming for months. And when I say months, I mean literally that they've been asking for this for a very, very long time. And they've finally done it. I don't know how they're going to appear on the tabletop at this stage, but that's okay. Just as a reminder, the link that you guys are looking at is an Australian one. And it's actually priced not too badly. I mean, it's only a supplement, but still, it's not bad.
I was going to say, some of the monies don't look too terribly bad.
No.
Let me put that into real money real quick.
It may not be up for you yet. I don't know.
I got it. So the first thing I'm going to point out, though, too, is I love the simplicity of the dice because...
Yes, I will agree with you on that.
Black dice, white pips. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
And it's as Black Templar as you're going to get. Like, you don't want colour in it. The whole point is that they're boring and black and white. Boring's not the right word, but...
dull. They're boring.
The highlight of the release is obviously the Codex, because this is what people have wanted for a long time. But I'm probably going to concentrate mainly on the Combat Patrol box, because from a news perspective, it's more interesting to talk about. It's a fairly standard-looking starter set, honestly. You've got the... what's that thing? You've got the... you've got your tank. Is it the Redemptor? I forget what that thing's called.
It's the Primaris thing that is ridiculously big for the role it fills.
And then you've got some actual heroes. And that particular hero, like the main one with his cape flowing and everything, is absolutely gorgeous. I really love that mini.
Can we talk about how epic the I'm guessing Sergeant looks with just the blacked out armor and then the red trim on his shoulder pads?
This guy?
Nice.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, I was talking the guy in the bottom right from the second, where he's pointing. He's got his bolter rifle.
Oh, okay. I think he's just one of the regular guys. But yeah, no, that is a really nice pose.
Can we poke some fun now?
Sure, poke as much fun as you like.
Why did they feel the need to do the actual, like friar haircuts on some of the freaking.
I
Guys.
will agree with you 100% on that.
Yeah.
Like, you really, like, just shave their head or give them like normal hairdos. There's no reason to give them the stupid bowl cut.
I don't know Black Templars well enough to know if this was always part of their thing, but I suspect it probably would have been. And I'm admitting here that I don't know. But given that they're so heavily based on something from history, it just wouldn't surprise me if they went wholeheartedly with the whole monk look.
Sure, I get that, but in this day and age of, stereotyping and stuff, like, that's something we don't need to do, in my opinion. I
don't disagree with you at all.
I think it's the absolute dumbest thing they could do on a mini. Now, that also said, that flamer looks amazing.
Yes.
Top right next to the tank.
Yep.
That flamer looks baller.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. It's really, really nice. Headed back. Codex-wise, I mean, we've seen the artwork for the Codex already. If you really want to spend too much money, you can buy the Special Collector's Edition. And then you can argue with the internet about how you reckon you're going to sell it for a profit one day when you know for a fact that you never will. Wait, what? Yes, I said that out loud. Bite me. It's the same book with a different cover. If you really want it, buy it. It's just, you're paying more than double the price for it. It's up to you if you like it. I'm not going to sit here and praise them over it. As far as, that's the only shade I can really throw at them, though. I think this is genuinely a very solid release. High Marshal Hebret is possibly one of the highlights.
Whoa.
I'm not 100% sure I like the mask, but it is very faithful.
I did not even see this dude.
I quite like it. The only thing is, his little crowny thingy around the top of his head looks a little weird.
So if you click on the images, there's a shot of the back of the box, and then there's the alternate helm sculpt. And that.
Oh, hell yes.
Yeah.
With the helmet, I would argue that that's one of the minis of the year. From them, at least, anyway.
Right.
That's really, really nice. But like I said, I think this is a very, very solid release from Games Workshop. To be fair, it's actually a very quiet fortnight from Games Workshop. We do have a couple of teasers of what else is coming, and I'm going to move on to everybody's favourite game to talk about, Aeronautica Imperialis, because it's like the most popular game in the world. It does have a following. It still surprises me, because I've never seen anybody play this. With the exception of Michelle. Michelle plays this, I know. But this genuinely has a strong following, and I've never seen anybody play it. But we're getting Necrons. And my immediate thought with Necrons coming was, I don't need to be tempted. I don't want to play this. Because Necrons would actually tempt me. I like the look of the Necron starships. I always have. And it still feels very faithful. I like the update they've done to the Phoenix Bomber. I genuinely think that looks really good. That's the Stingray looking one down the bottom. And you can't tell me that doesn't look like a Stingray, because we definitely know it does. It's even got the barb on the end.
Well, Stingrays simply don't have that big a hole in their front, they just have a little
Well, true. Also, they have sails and not moons for bodies.
That's also true.
But it reminds me of a Stingray. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure that these are actually the same kit. I'm pretty sure you can build both of these from the same one.
I would say, looking at it, the one looks like it's got 3 extra pieces.
Yeah. Major Socks, as our resident lover of everything Games Workshop. Any opinions on this at all?
I actually think it's two different models because if you look at the body, the main body of the two, there's separate pieces unless there's.
True. I was more meaning like about the models themselves.
But I do like them. I mean,
You do like them?
I do.
Yeah.
Not that I
I'm a
ever
fan.
get into the game.
And then moving on from the shade that I threw their way last episode, we have some new stuff coming for Forge World. And the weird thing is that they dropped off since I added it last.
That's okay. The browser won't load for me, so. Oh, hey. Was it really these 3 items?
It was supposed to be more than that. All right. If you tick new releases, it'll fix itself. I think what's happened is that they've come off pre-order and they've gone on to being available since I did this last night.
Oh, okay. Oh, looks like we got some Blood Bully stuff. Lots of Blood Bully stuff.
Yeah. So look, yes, but the thing that you've obviously noticed is the new book for the Horus Heresy books is out. That's going to excite some people. I'm not one of those people. I have no real interest in playing 30k. I understand why people do. It's just not something I'm really interested in. The Blood Bowl Croxigore is one of the things I wanted to look at. Because, I thought that they'd done this already, but they haven't. And they definitely haven't.
I'm not... Are we available to order, or...?
It's pre-order.
Pre-order.
Are you not seeing the Blood Bowl Croxigore either?
Gotcha. Okay. So I was looking at new releases, not just the pre-orders. Okay.
That's because I asked you to tick that as well, so that you could see everything.
Well, all I had was pre-orders, and it's like, then you said there was more, and I'm like, what? And so I unticked that, and I'm there. I'm with it. I'm super green.
Apparently. Yeah. So, look, it's a lizardman with a football aesthetic. I mean, yay. You're either going to love that or you're not. I really like the Croxigore. I think he's quite a nice looking model.
I mean, I'd say it looks pretty good.
I'm a fan.
The
thing
I'm laughing about is God bless it. Stop it. There we go. No, I am having issues interneting. There we go. Big new releases you can get from Forge World are Citadel painting handles and crap.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is not even new. Oh, I suppose it is new on the Games Workshop stuff. Because what Forge World try to do is do bundles so that you don't have to buy things from their store and the Games Workshop store. But ironically enough, you can't do that from the Games Workshop website. Which is interesting.
Why don't they just make it one website?
That's a very good question. Now,
I mean, seriously.
I'm sending you boys a link because the other thing that we were supposed to be looking at that's dropped off the pre-order releases since we loaded that, or since I loaded it, is here. This is what was supposed to be the interesting part, because we've got some Necromunda stuff.
Oh, okay. I was thinking they were Blood Bowl, but that also makes sense that they're Necromunda.
So, the Cawdor, I'm going to say Stick Shambler, is just all kinds of weird. And I mean that in a positive way. I mean, it's very weird.
That looks like the dude from Mad Max who had the little dude riding on his back.
I could see that. I find it interesting that they've literally welded metal over his face so that he can't see where he's going. I guess the idea is that the rider is steering him with the gun, I suppose. Just seems like an odd choice. To me, this is a mini that's kind of... It's weird for the sake of being weird, without it really making a lot of sense to me. Because, I mean, whether you want him to be in control of where he's going or not, a creature is not going to be walking very well at all if it literally can't see anything.
Swinging his his hands that are axes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just grimdark being grimdark. Clovis the Redeemer. This is a mini that had been teased quite a while ago, but we're finally getting it. This was shown off during one of the previews. It feels like forever ago. I don't remember the organ player guy being with him though. I think I actually prefer the organ player guy over the actual flamer guy.
His face looks all sorts of creepy.
I really like it though. See, this is the weird creepy that I like. It actually feels like it makes sense to me, at least, anyway. And finally, we have some birds because, well, birds are awesome. Cawdor sheen birds. It's a terrible name, but they're really good looking birds.
I'd say they're Cawdor.
Cawdor.
C-A-W, Cawdor.
So caw like a raven, I suppose. Yeah, caw. That makes sense. I really like these. I think they're really nice. I mean, they're just birds. There's nothing... I mean, it's not the most groundbreaking of releases that we've ever seen, but they look really nice.
So, I will say this. The flight stands are totally ripped off of the Primaris dudes.
Well,
and
yes.
they work really well for these birds.
Yes. Yeah, agreed.
Because it's just a little tiny bird. It's not like, here's a giant mini. Let's take a little tiny flight rod and, give you, 2 square millimeters of surface area to glue them together, and that's all you've got to keep it together.
Yeah. These particular flight stands tend to be something that people either love or hate, generally. I do agree with you. I think it works really well on these. I don't think they always work on the Primaris stuff, but I don't really have any strong negative opinions about them, generally. It's just that they're flight stands. There's nothing really super exciting about flight stands to begin with.
Well, so, okay, Drop Fleet Commander, you got nice straight ones. Sure, that works great for giant spaceships. All the other stuff prior to these Primaris ones, it was the same thing. It was a straight flight stand that just went straight up in.
Yep.
Or you had assault marines who were standing on the ground.
True.
That's pretty boring. I mean...
but yeah, so that's like I said, it's been a bit of a quiet fortnight from Games Workshop. Well, quiet's probably not the right word, but there's because they've only just recently done Warhammer Day. There's no huge teasers that they're doing, but I think what we have seen has been fairly solid. I mean, there's a couple of things I can throw shade at, but it's not really much negative to say. Moving on.
Well, you just got super dark there, Bruce.
I think it might be because my screen was part of the reason why I was bright.
Oh.
I will fix that with the screen that I'm not looking at. How's that?
Yeah, it's better.
All right. It's because the screen is part of the thing keeping me bright.
You should fix that.
Okay. So, moving on. Bushido are at Salute this weekend, like a lot of people are. And as part of their stand, despite the fact that they've said that they have nothing new this weekend, they do. Now, I need to give credit to this, to the Roll Better podcast, because they're the ones that have shown these models off. These have not been officially announced by GCW at this stage, but the big giant bear in the background, and there is a better shot of him. Isn't he cute? This is one of the most powerful models in the game right now. I have seen his rules, and they are nuts. And the two samurai guys are apparently going to be part of a new 2-player starter set coming at around March next year. It's 5-on-5. So there's 10 models in the box, and they're all ronin, and apparently they will be able to work with your existing factions. So the idea is that everything in this can be used for current players as well as new players. So people can kind of experience the game without having to make the decision as to who they want to play with yet, I suppose is the idea there. I really like what they're doing with this. I really like the concept of it. Their resin, which is new, that was kind of a bit surprising for me, because GCT are all metal models, usually. I don't think it's incredibly surprising. I mean, for those that don't know, metal is becoming more and more expensive at the moment out in the real world, and that is kind of meaning that there's a few companies that are having to, whether they want to or not, reconsider whether they want to continue doing metal models or not, because it's becoming unprofitable.
So the other reason too is, if they didn't have anything new to talk about, and it was just like, hey, we've actually got these ready to go, and they were just cast in resin, thrown in a box, and then they went.
No. These are being produced in resin.
Sorry,
okay. I may not have actually said that. They're confirmed as going to be produced. That box is going to be in resin. So this is a fairly... Unless they go back on that, or unless the Roll Better podcast have gotten their wires crossed on that, but that's what's being reported.
Interesting. I wonder if they'll go back and... Well, because at some point they're going to have to make new of the old stuff, and, if they're going to keep doing that. And...
Here's the thing. Metal is expensive for now, but there's no... I mean, I highly doubt that it's going to drop in price anytime soon. And realistic... I mean, I know that most miniatures are made from fairly common metals. But mining and stuff is something that's becoming increasingly more expensive too, so... I wouldn't be entirely surprised if it just becomes inaffordable as the cheaper option. Because let's be honest, metal is used mainly because it's cheaper.
And I think easier to do the small batches in, probably, because then you're not having to do injection and stuff like that. Yeah. And I think it's just a trend in the hobby. I mean, I remember back in the day when everything was pewter, and I absolutely hated it because one rogue model gets loose and your entire army is chipped, or spears get bent or broken. Yeah. I think the advent of, in the case of Games Workshop and the starter sets for Drop Fleet, Drop Zone Commander, games like that, where they can take the time and do actual injection molded plastic that's very nice and clean.
Yeah. And
then the resin on the stuff that's, the more one-offs, you're not buying 30 gajillion of them. I've ever since I got my first plastic minis, I was just like, metal's gross.
I'm with you 100% on that.
I agree.
And I'm just wondering if it's not just preclude to cost, but I'm just wondering if it's an industry trend we're going to see of, the people have spoken, and the majority I've heard is there's some people who are diehard metal, but I think a majority of the hobby is they want resin, they want plastic because it's easier to work with, it's easier to transport, it's easier to store.
I'm definitely of that opinion.
And it's easier to glue resin and resin instead of resin and metal, like Warlord
Yeah.
Games. Warlord Games has resin models for their big stuff, and then the little metal bits for their little detail stuff, and it's a pain to try and glue those together and have them stay.
I think metal has been something that there is a very strong part of the community that scream over not wanting to go away for a long time. And I think part of that is because I think some of them have kind of suspected that this has been coming. I don't, like, we're not going to get plastic for everything. It's too expensive for some companies to be able to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the benefit of resin. And don't get me wrong, I know that there's people out there that hate working with resin. And I understand why. But, at the same time, if metal is going to become expensive, what's really the benefit of it? Because at the same time, most of these people, there's only so far that they're going to be willing to stretch their budgets to have metal instead of resin. And I suspect what's going to start happening is that metal's going to become more expensive. I mean, yes, some companies have been doing that already for profiting reasons, but yeah, I'm not saying that metal is gone now, but I do suspect that we will see we will see it go. The fact that Corvus Belli, who is a company that had always said that they will never stop producing in metal, are now starting to produce their larger minis in that new PVC thing we looked at a few episodes ago. That, I think, screams a lot louder than most people think it does. Because, again, Corvus Belli were never moving away from metal. And they've started moving away from metal. So I suspect that most of them, at least the main industry, is going to move away. I suspect what you'll find with metal in about 10 years' time is that it's really only going to be the small guys left that have a niche audience that are willing to pay the extra for it, and I suspect that's where it'll stay. That's just my opinion. Because resin is not that much more expensive to produce. In fact, you could argue that it's cheaper sometimes. It's not always. But I suspect that it's going to become cheaper if this trend continues. Moving on. The people that are watching the video version are going to be thinking, Bruce, you've had this story up for like 4 minutes of your rant. So why are we still talking about this? Okay. Blackside Studios. We've talked about these guys a couple of times. These are the guys that do that Don't Look Back game that I'm completely obsessed with because it's just really awesome. They are introducing a new game. It's currently on a pre-order sort of Kickstarter-y type thing. It's not actually a Kickstarter. They're doing it on their own website. They're just trying to get enough people to back it.
I think I like this more than just like going on a Kickstarter. Like, this is the company saying, we want to do this, please help us, and not like go through some other platform. Like, you know, if you have enough following, your fans are going to do it. You don't need to like go through all the hype wagon and hype engine stuff.
Yeah. So this game is called Violent Dark, and I am not saying that this game is Alien. I am not saying that this game is Aliens. But it might be about people inside a spaceship that's being hunted by things from another planet. Possibly. In the cold depths of space is a violent place. It's very much pushing that aesthetic. Apparently they used to call it Anomaly. So this is a game that they've been working on for a while. It's actually 32 mil, so about your fairly standard size. For heroic minis, at least, anyway. 3 to 5 minis aside, it's on a 2x2 area, so this is a nice small game, kind of like Bushido is, but this is all going to be tight corridors, and it's very space hulky, alien-y.
Can I interrupt you right now, Bruce?
Yes.
If you look at Tier 1, the starter, look at what your free gift is.
Pushkin the cat.
Yeah, the cat.
Yeah.
Of all the things that survived, you know, the damn cat.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I'm going to bring up a
ooh.
larger version of what George is
You actually get
referring
it in
to.
all three. Doesn't matter which tier you order it in.
Well,
No,
yeah,
that's your gift
picture
for pre-ordering.
But yeah.
Yeah, but the picture is on the, so right off the bat, the Karamar class freighter core set for 170.
It's not a bad price.
No, I agree.
Right off the bat for me, that just screams a nice, quick buy this, put it together, and you have a little mini Zone Mortalis set to play on.
A pre-painted one too. Because all of this stuff comes painted it all comes pre-painted. It's been designed really well too.
Again, I think this is a great example of how far terrain has come. Like, just being able to buy something and have something amazing
in the last 5 to 10 years.
And hell, if you want to go the 3D printing route, there's an option for you on that as well. USSR.
Geez.
I mean, there's going to be a lot more time involved on that, but you could easily do it. The Cormorant, the expansion looks quite nice as well. This is just much tighter corridors and so forth to kind of close everything in. I really, really like what they're doing with the... there's going to be people out there that already have a lot of terrain that's going to be suitable for this, and that's fine. Buy the minis and play the game. But if you don't, they've done some really, really nice ways of getting you up to speed on this.
Yeah, I was gonna say those two freighter sets right there. That's just nice terrain. Period.
Yeah.
This is really cool. I like this. I'm not gonna get it, but it's really cool.
Yeah. It's also worth noting that this is one of quite a few games in this area right now, most of which are board games, though. There's also a really awesome role-playing game for Alien out that I have played, and it's really cool. But, moving on, TTCombat.
Who are they?
But Lewis, you're doing it again. Shame on you guys. Because this terrain looks awesome.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I like most of the new stuff that we're looking at here, because most of that Wild West stuff we looked at last time. I think the church is the newest thing, so the oldest thing there that we hadn't looked at.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to look at this sci-fi stuff up the top, because this is all in the 15 mil range. This is all drop zone scale.
A little big for drop zone, because drop zone is 10. So
sorry. No, it's 10 then. It is designed for it. I misquoted.
UCM APC parked next to it.
Yeah. No, this is definitely for drop zone. I misquoted the scale. That's my fault. My point was supposed to be that look at the detail they're getting in square blocky things at such a small scale. Like, it really, really works.
Yeah.
Lewis, it should be a crime that you guys are able to do this in such a small scale.
Yeah, that ventilation fan just looks pretty cool. To have that sitting somewhere.
I want the bank.
The Pitchstone Bank.
The Wild West.
Yeah.
Wild West stuff. Yeah.
I just want to point out, the very first time I saw a picture of like that front picture of Pitchstone Crossroads, I thought it was a boat. I don't know why. It's just kind of the shape of it, I think.
Yeah, I could see that. You're looking at like a cross section, half split
Yeah.
in the middle.
As for the bank, I can't disagree with you, George. I really do like this bank. And once again, it's all been designed so that you can pull it apart.
Can we just order the entire Pitchstone set that they have, like, pictured there? Just click one button?
Well,
I haven't seen one yet, so it may be separate.
They haven't got a bundle up for it yet. But...
Lewis, can I have the bundle, please?
Send one to George.
We don't know what the bundles are yet, and that's what our next story is going to be. In their community posts this week, and I accidentally closed it because I'm an idiot, they pointed out that we have some white box bundles coming again. I'm going to say for Christmas. They haven't actually said dates, but I presume that this is for Christmas, because that's usually when they do their big box bundles. So, we do know what a couple of them are. There's a big sci-fi gothic one here. These are usually always, like, insanely good deals. So, there's that Ruined Aquila set. There's this one here that's... They're calling it Savage Domain, but it's very fantasy-esque to me. It's all ruined and stuff as well. And then we have another one which is all industrial and stuff. And there's going to be... There's still 8 more kits to be revealed. One of which might even be something that's unreleased. So, I'm kind of hoping that Pitchstone ends up going on it. I can tell you straight up front that a lot of that Wild West stuff is very, very tempting for Wild West Exodus. Like, that would look really, really good on my table.
There's something about, like, I would love to have, like, do a kill team game, right? Where you got some Tyranids, and you got your Space Marines, and they're walking through Deadwood. Right, the Imperium is landed on, the Wild West planet. This is really cool. Yeah.
As far as the new stuff is concerned, I don't know if I can pick a favourite, but it might. It's either the bank or the church. As much as we've seen 1,000 churches interrain in our time, I think that might be my favourite of them.
As you are correct, we've seen a lot of churches. They're not hard to do. A building that's longer than it is wide, you put a steeple on it, the obligatory, icon at the top of it, and it looks good. Who does banks? Right?
Yeah.
And not even just, a normal bank. No, this is a 2-story bank. This is a highfalutin bank.
And it's only £16.
Which ain't bad.
Like, TTCombat are always very, very competitive with their pricing, but that's a steal.
I'm clicking all this. Oh wait, okay, I can do it that way. That's faster. Let's see. Oh my, stop it with the pop-ups, please. Okay, so everything on that page, that is the Pitchstone. It's 114 pounds.
It's not bad. And I'm pretty sure the picture that you're looking at where they join them all together, I'm pretty sure that's a 3x3 board. I could be wrong. It could be 4x4. I'm pretty sure it's 3x3. It's kind of hard to tell because there's no actual measurements on it. But it would make more sense that it would be 3x3 than 4x4.
So let me 114.
And that's very, very densely populated, regardless of what the scale is. That's a lot of terrain.
That's $150.
It's
for all that.
Very, very good value.
Those six
and most
right
of this is really easy to build.
Yeah, per the system that Luce's boss came up with, his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, according to that skill system, yeah, these are all super easy to build. And quick too. Well, a couple of them are quick. One of them's
yes, but the main street is multiple buildings though.
Yeah.
And multiple complicated buildings. They're all large. There's a reason that's going to take a while.
Lewis, if you'll send me a message, I'll give you my address. Go ahead, just send those to me, please. I really appreciate it. Thanks. I don't play Wild West Exodus. I have nothing Wild West, but I love the Wild West terrain just because no one does it.
No.
Good job there, TTCombat.
Agreed. Moving on, I think it was about 2 months ago now we covered Delta 1's game. Initially, they had all of those modern military minis. They have an expansion on Kickstarter at the moment, which came very left of center.
Well, it's not finished yet, but it is funded, so.
Yeah. And it's funded very well, too. It's been going very, very nicely. So this is a 35mm scale. So it's on your... well, there's a few things in that scale, I suppose. 2 to 14 minis aside, 12 plus, 2 players. So you've got new Eastern Bloc minis. You've got new NATO stuff. This is very much an expansion on the original game. But you can get the original game as part of one of the pledges. So they're in the middle of unlocking stuff at the moment, which is nice. But given that it was something that we kind of covered on one of our Aiming to the Indies, I thought it was worth pointing this out. You're looking at... How much are we looking at? $79, 79 Australian bucks for just the expansion, or 210 if you missed out on the original stuff, and then you get the original stuff as well. So, nice looking minis. A couple of pictures there showing you it in scale with other stuff, so it's about the same sort of scale as Infinity and so forth. $10 postage to Australia. That's not bad. They'll be losing money on that. $24, that's Australian bucks, to post to the US. And that again is like that they'll be losing money on most of this postage. I can tell you that for a fact. It does state that it's only price guide, so that those values may change. But that's very, very fair postage wise. I know how expensive postage is over here. And it's... When I sent you those, when we sent you those biscuits, it was a lot more expensive than this. And this will be a lot. This will be a lot heavier than they were.
I remember that because that was like, I looked at the postal thing and I was like, "How much did you spend on these?" Like $20, and it was like $25 in shipping.
Yeah, I was very unhappy. All right, moving on. Back to metal minis. I know, right? Okay. I'm just going to say this right now. This is one of my favourite things that I have ever seen. This is an army of gnomes, and they are done the way that you expect that gnomes should be. It's the pointed little hats, and the only thing you can see is their big nose sticking out through their beards. This is so cliche, it's hilarious. They're fighting with spades and garden tools. Like, this is literally your gnomes from your garden playing on the tabletop.
Yeah, they're about the size of the Bad Moon goblins from Age of Sigmar, it looks like.
Yeah, I love this so much.
Bruce, it's only $20 to get the entire army shipped to Australia.
I'm very, very tempted by these, and I have absolutely no reason to buy them, because I would never use them. But they just look so cool.
I like the one riding the pig.
Yeah, the greenskeeper.
The greenskeeper, yep.
I have seen a video of somebody previewing some of these minis, and they do look really, really nice. The only negative feedback he had, and it was kind of stretching a bit, was that he kind of felt that like everything kind of has shovels and there's probably needs to be other tools in there that you could use. I love the fact that they're using lawn darts. I know.
Yeah. I just saw that one.
All right, they're lawn gnomes. What are they going to have? They're going to have garden tools. And
yeah.
Now, long darts. That's the range units right there.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't care what game it is that you're playing. I don't care how serious and grimdark the opponent is. This will work even if only to annoy your opponent. Like, these are just so good. There's so much character here. It just works so well.
There's so much character with only a nose showing.
Yeah. I don't know. I may end up...
Bruce, I applaud this find. This is stellar.
Yeah. If you're listening to the audio version of this, you only have 6 days left to back this particular campaign. So you'll want to get on that quickly. If you're watching the video version of this, it will be closing at some stage today. Unless you're one of our Patreons, in which case you've already seen this. Plugging our Patreon. Moving on to a game that I was almost going to cover last episode, but I kind of deleted it at the last minute. Monster Apocalypse. Now, this is a campaign being run by Mythic Games. They are working with Privateer Press. I had to think who they were called for a second. And when I first saw this being advertised by Mythic as coming soon, my first thought is, but this game already exists. Why is there a Kickstarter for it? So what they've actually done is they've converted the tabletop game into an all-in-one box. It's kind of tabletop meets board game in that sense. And they've kind of adjusted the rules and so on and so forth a little bit and kind of updated it a little bit. So everything that's new in this can still work with the tabletop game, but it's also a standalone board game. And it's the standalone board game that you're helping fund here. We've covered a couple of the model ranges. This is the one that had like those really cool Wasp minis that I was very tempted to buy at one point. Still tempted to sometimes. Basically, it's Godzilla, it's it's King Kong, it's Rampage. Like, pick a giant monster movie where they're destroying the cities, and this is what you're playing. It's just done on the tabletop. This is something that I think to some extent we've all wanted to play at some point. I don't know what tempts me more, whether it's the Wasp or the Simian Corp, because I really love the look of that Godzilla. Not Godzilla. King Kong.
You want to know what tempts me, Bruce?
What?
Nothing.
Nothing?
Yes. After dealing with the round 2 pledge for Super Fantasy Brawl and going weeks and weeks and weeks without getting response from messages, only to find the massive release on the Mythic stuff of, we're not directly replying to messages here, you will have to email us.
Yeah, no, I'll agree with you on that. That's definitely not a positive experience.
So, if you're gonna ask, people to crowdfund and like support an idea to help get it off the ground, you need to reply to them. If they ask you a question, you need to respond. If you're gonna ask for $160 and someone says blah blah blah, is this gonna happen? You need to reply with yes, no, maybe, something, not crickets chirping in the background. Yeah. That's my 2 cents right now. To put it into perspective, as much shade and discontent you threw towards CMON for what they use the platform for, and seeing Mythic kind of doing the same thing, and then doing that, though, I've got quite a bit of discontent for Mythic right now at this point. Their stuff's still pretty cool. I'm not opening my wallet for them though.
Well, I will say this: Mythic are starting to be on Kickstarter just as much as Simon are, and I'm not going to sit here and say otherwise. They're not quite to that level yet, but they are getting very, very close to it. Speaking of which, it's been a while since we've had an update for round 2 as well.
Yeah, there's something, and I didn't read it because...
Oh, actually, hang on. I backed after the fact, so I wouldn't see their updates. Never mind. Ignore me.
No, there is something. I'd have to log in, but there was a round 2 update.
Yeah. Anyway, I thought this was interesting. Like, this is not something I'm going to be backing. As much as, to some extent, this is a game that I would love to play. I don't really feel I need this version of it. When I could just go... Like, it already exists as a tabletop game. I mean, I get expanding the audience. I still don't think this belongs on Kickstarter. I just don't. It's been wildly successful, and hey, yeah, great for them. But I just don't think this belongs on Kickstarter. It's a property that already existed. That's how I felt. But Major Socks.
Yep.
You've got some feelings on this next one.
Yeah, so as you guys know, I kickstarted a game a while ago, Company Heroes, the board game, and I just found out that they are going to be having a 2.0 version late Q1 of next year. Their 2.0 Kickstarter will come out. They actually have some printouts that you can already do for their Commander's board. So if you go to the 2nd edition preview, and you click on the Commander's edition, you actually can kind of see what kind of changes they're already having. And this game is not, I would say it's less than a year and a half old. And so they're thinking about doing 2.0, just from player feedback and stuff like that. But they said they were going to do a 1.5. That way, if there were changes or whatnot, or if people wanted to add stuff later on, they could. So I'm looking forward to this one. As you can kind of see behind me, I pulled it back out, and it's actually on the table right now, being played. So I'm getting excited for this one. So
yeah. Kind of early, but we'll get more information on this when it releases. Obviously, not happening until first quarter of next year is going to make talking about the details of this a little difficult. But definitely something to be, because this has had some fairly positive feedback, this game. So it's going to be worth keeping an eye on this one, I think.
Yep. For sure.
Part of my brain goes, isn't it a little early for 2nd edition? But at the same time, they were talking about how they were going to give people a second chance to buy this. So it kind of makes sense that, well, if you're going to do that to give people another chance, then, hey, you should update it and give people a reason to buy it as well. So that does kind of, it does actually kind of make sense.
Is this going to ever hit retail shelves, or is this just...
They are planning on it, yes.
Okay.
That was their discussion too. They wanted to make sure all of their Kickstarters that backed it got all their product before they went into retail.
Sure, absolutely, yeah.
But they had COVID hit, and so a lot of their production chains shut down too. Yeah. And so
it's been a problem for a lot of people.
Just like everyone else. So
I'm going to be in that same boat with Bruce. You know, that's a little soon for a 2nd edition. But on the other hand, though, too. How long did it take for us to get a 2nd edition for Drop Fleet?
Well, we still don't have a 2nd edition for Drop Fleet. You're thinking Drop Zone.
Or Drop Zone, yeah.
It was about 5 or 6.
Yeah, so...
Officially.
Speaking of, this is not in the run sheet, but I'm going to cover it very, very quickly, because this is a story that got raised to me about a month or so now by Michelle. How familiar are you two guys with Dust 1947?
Yep, I used to play that game, actually, quite a bit. So I know it very well.
Is that the one that the company was closing its doors here recently?
Yes.
Yeah.
The one that I said I wasn't interested in covering, and we won't say why. In saying that, despite my negative opinion, it really sucks when somebody goes out of business. And that was a game that, despite all of that, had actually gone on to do some really good things. Like, that game should have been dead 2 or 3 times. And actually continued because of the fan base. And I would argue that we'll probably still see this game being played, much like Blood Bowl was still being played, long after this company is gone. It was a very unique setting. Like, some of the minis that you could get for that was just... Weird World War just makes so much sense as a tabletop game. Like, it had a lot of potential. And I will be the first to put up my hand and say, look, the problems that I have are my problems, and they're my opinion. And if that means that I want to miss out on a fun game, that's my problem. But I never want to see anybody go out of business, and that sucks. I'm still surprised that we haven't seen more of it because of the pandemic. I really, really am. I was expecting this industry to be hit a lot harder than it has been.
If anything, I'd say this industry has gotten more to, how do we get this to where people can just play by themselves?
Well, that's been genuinely, there's been some genuinely really good ideas come out of this, out of that.
Well, I think that's why Company Heroes did so well, because it had a solo co-op expansion with the Kickstarter straight off. And so I got the set, pulled it right out of the box, and pulled my solo game board right off with it, and had all the pieces for my solo. So I was able to play by myself. Yeah, I've got a couple boys now that are starting to play it with me, but until they got old enough really to understand it a little bit better.
Yeah.
If you think of it this way, though, any game that is technically a cooperative game, where the game has AI that you're playing against, you can play by yourself.
Yeah, but it's not always very fun, because sometimes those games rely on you working together, and sometimes playing by yourself in those games isn't very fun, unless it's designed to be played by yourself.
Well, what's more fun sometimes? If you have a co-op game that you can play by yourself, or I don't know, other things.
Or fighting in a war game by yourself. And now my army does this. Like the guy with the checkerboard in the old Pixar thing where he's running back and forth on the table.
Yeah. So,
yes. Indy.
So for this.
Indy. Definition. Independent. Type. Slang word. Jargon.
3D Alien Worlds. Now, this is a company we have covered before in our news. These guys release 3D printable terrain. I am a huge fan of their samurai stuff for a particular board game, tabletop game that I play. But they do have other stuff as well. But that's where I'm going to start. Because, I'm sorry, but it's samurai stuff.
The Temple Outer Gate looks amazing.
Temple Outer Gate. Let's start there. Wait, why can I not find it? There it is.
I just found the castle.
Oh, yeah. This stuff is incredible. This is all 3D sculpted. This is all designed to be printed on your 3D printer.
Oh. The castle is multi-level.
Yeah.
That would be fun for a Bushido game there, Bruce.
It'd be too big for the board.
Probably, but that would be fun to play in.
Actually play in, yes. Speaking of which, Bushido very soon will be introducing some 3D terrain rules for climbing and stuff.
Oh.
So you could just have this model
so you're gonna
alone,
get
and
the
that'd be
castle
your
print
board.
then?
You could have people on multiple levels and have your ninjas climbing up the outside of the building.
Yes, you could.
So you're gonna get the castle and print it, Bruce?
Gonna get my 3D printer working properly first. My 3D print, my FDM 3D printer, so not the resin one, the filament one. Because I was having trouble with it, I just put it on the too hard pile, and I'll pull it back out when I have a chance to have a look at it with somebody. Because I was just getting frustrated.
So, I'm gonna keep talking here real quick because this is something, and I can't Frostgrave board game or something like that. We talked about it on the podcast. So in the samurai terrain, they have a dice tower, and I love it when you can take something that's part of the terrain, and in this case,
Makes
like,
it functional.
this can just be part of the terrain and everything. Oh, but when you need to roll, you drop your dice in it and you get your results.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on that. I want to see more stuff like this because I don't quite understand why it doesn't have. So why you don't have this more? Because it just makes so much sense. I mean, I realise that it's not as easy as just adding a door to the outside of a building because you got to do the internals and stuff too. And it just looks like a piece of terrain.
Yeah. You just take off the top little steeple part, and that's where you drop your dice down, and then you can put it right back.
Yeah, their Necron stuff has one.
Yep.
Let's go to the High Elf. Oh, the High Elf doesn't have much. Okay, how about...
No, the High Elf set is kind of fairly newish. Yeah, I'm a big fan of... I haven't seen much by these guys that doesn't look good. Everything, like, there's so much detail in this. The Necrons here. There's some Tau stuff as well. Obviously the Tau and the High Elf is the new stuff at the moment. I suspect that what you will find is that it will start appearing in all of their stuff.
They even have ninja rooftop bases that are like roofs of their samurai models, the roofs, but you can use those as bases.
Yes. In fact, I own the Zen Garden one.
Okay.
Which
in the
pretty cool.
Yeah, there's Zen Garden bases. And they're both square bases and round bases. And yes, there is a... where is it?
Just above down in the accessories, ninja rooftop.
Thank you. I don't remember why I went the way that I did.
So neat.
Oh, I love these. They are so good.
I was just thinking of when you could say you'd have your Bushido stuff climbing over the roofs, based like this, and you could...
Yeah.
Do just that.
Okay, accessories. Measuring sword.
Oh, yes. The measuring
Yeah,
sword is
that's
awesome. It's literally a sword that you can measure the game with. And they've designed it so that the little curved things in the blade are your inches. It's so good. It's so clever.
I love this almost as much as I love the Wild West stuff that TTCombat just put out. This looks... So no, who was it? Arsenal Industries or something like that. They did a lot of Infinity Train. They had a neo-modern like samurai stuff and everything, which with the exception of a couple pieces, totally work perfectly for feudal Bushido stuff. This way better than that. And this is one of those things where it's like it's just aesthetically pleasing to look at.
Yeah.
Beyond the fact of that tower is just flipping amazing. Like, it comes apart, so you have multi-level. Like, the game just takes place in the castle. You go up and down the floors. Like, you show up, sure, it's all in one piece, and then you lay out all the floors, and then you just go back and forth. Oh, I would love to do that.
I mean, hell, ignore Bushido for a minute. Take any rule set take Space Hulk and do it.
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
Maybe not
Space Hulk in a samurai
Space
castle.
Hulk. Your samurai against Oni. That the castle's been taken over by Oni. You could take Don't Look Back and do it. Like you could take you could break it down into very, very simple measuring, and like it doesn't even have to be an official rule set. You could build a game around that castle very, very easily. I'm a big fan of what these guys do. I've been tempted to show these guys off for a while. Like I said, we have covered them in the news a couple of times, but I really felt it was time to actually give them a real proper good look into. So, hobby
Their
time.
canal set looks nice too.
What's that?
Hobby time.
Their canal sets.
Oh
Canal
yes,
set.
I did look at the canal set on video, but that was while George was talking about something else.
Yeah, that looks so good with the ninjas and the boats, and oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The sumo ring. Yeah, this stuff just looks good.
Yeah.
Period. Hobby time.
Cream, glue, drying, paint.
So, Major Socks, should we start with the obvious person?
Yeah.
We should start with the obvious person. Hey, George, open up your stuff.
Look, I got a box. That's so
Boxins.
cool. And look, I have another box.
Boxins.
Oh, I'm supposed to open those boxes.
Yeah. Open
Yes.
them. Happy birthday.
Start with the one that was in the one that looks like it was sealed by the company. Leave that to last because I think that's the one that I sent you. The bigger one, I'm pretty sure the smaller box in the other hand. Other hand.
This one.
That one. Start with that one.
Start with this one.
Yes.
Oh, it's some. Oh, what the? It's a gnome. Why? I have a gnome now. This is. Oh, this is horrible. Oh my god. Let me. I do not like this styrofoam. It's just. Hold on. Yeah, this is interesting.
This is what George looked like before he got old.
Where the hell did you find this?
Talk to Casey.
Oh my. I don't know where to put this now. Go hide up here. Are you gonna? No, you're gonna.
I would probably recommend your painting desk, maybe. It can be kind of like a little... Oh, no, that works. There you go. He's like a little hidden thing in the background now.
I'll have to hide him better.
I don't know, I kind of like the idea of him actually being something that people see in the background and go, oh, I remember that.
So,
And I'm pretty sure that this is the one that I sent.
You sent me black paper. Thank you, Bruce. You did not.
I did.
You did not.
I did.
Bruce. Ooh, I got a little knife sticker.
Yep. I didn't get a knife sticker. I suspect that that's something you should scrunch up because I suspect that's the invoice.
I don't... What?
I'm pretty sure that sticker is the invoice. Don't look at the invoice.
What sticker? I don't see what you're talking about, Bruce. This is so cool. I'm excited. I'm going to open that later. Or while you guys are talking about hobby. Because I haven't done anything.
Boo. We're disappointed in you. What have you been up to, Socks? It looks like you've been playing a game.
Company Heroes on the table. Not much, really. Work has been kind of busy.
I can relate to that.
Contingent of guys that went down for an exercise. out of country. They just got back over the weekend, so it was a lot of planning efforts and stuff like that. So not a whole lot that I was wanting to get to. I never got to. So
Yeah.
hopefully this week, because they are back. So, but looks like George will have something to do in the next couple weeks.
So for me, I mean, up until everything was Conquest last month, and that definitely took a lot of my time. There's a reason that I couldn't keep that release schedule going because it was just too much. But I'm very, very proud that I did it. Since then, I've received my Armada stuff after Australia Post decided to hold it hostage for a month. Almost.
What? They did not.
Oh,
They held it hostage?
Australia. See, I ordered my Armada stuff and my Conquest stuff within a day of each other. And the Armada stuff arrived a month after the other one did.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. They're not sending their post. Australia Post are struggling with the backlog and they're not doing things in order, which is making things worse, I find. But I'm not going to rant on Australia Post again. So that finally arrived. I did unboxings of all of that. I did have a couple of things that were broken. Nothing super major. Disappointing when things are broken, but that's the way it is with anything, really. Otherwise, I finally got my Queen. I was able to unbox that as well. I actually built that the other night and really enjoyed putting her together. She was really, really nice. She was unfortunately missing her base, but that's okay. I'm going to get one of those. Otherwise, to be fair, I've kind of been concentrating on more software stuff than I bought a couple of new hard drives for my computer, and I've been reorganizing where everything goes.
That's super fun.
Oh, I had a lot of fun watching the percentage of my format countdown on my new 2 terabit hard drive and the 1 terabit M.2 drive that I'm using exclusively for recording, or I plan to. It's just I cannot speak to just how much fun you can possibly have waiting for numbers to count up to 100. It's just, I recommend it for everybody. It's just so much fun.
I do that on a daily basis, so I know how you feel about that.
I wasn't getting paid for it though.
Sorry.
Yeah. But no, it's been a good few weeks. I've been enjoying it. We have a subscribe button that pops up as an animation on our videos now.
What?
It's great.
It's like we're fancy.
Or I do, on my side. And yeah, so game talk, I suppose.
Talk nerdy to me.
We are moving back across to Drop Zone Commander this weekend. And we are going to be covering the Resistance Command. Because it's the only command we haven't covered yet.
The Resisty!
So, I'm going to start with the Alexander Heavy Tank. Because it's a tank. This is 100 points. It's a squad size of 1, which I'm sure surprises everybody. It's got a 2-inch move. It has active countermeasures, armor of 15, damage of 5. Its type is tank. I know that's surprising. It has a 220mm equalizer cannon. There's no move and fire. It's front, side, and rear, because it's a tank. Its range of fire is infinite. Its counted is 18 inches. 1 shot, accuracy of 2+, 12 energy, and it's Devastator 3 for everything. This thing is nuts. It's also...
Yep. I'm going to interject a little bit of realism. So Captain Sox, you'll be familiar with this. So the Abrams, the America's main battle tank, its cannon is 150 millimeters. This is
This is nuts.
Holy cow!
Pretty much a naval
Massive.
shell. Pretty much a naval shell.
Right?
Actually, you're probably on the money there.
Yeah, let's.
While I'm counting through the rest of us, one of you two look up the millimeters of the naval stuff. We've got a Maelstrom grenade launcher. No movement fire. That is also front, side, and rear. It's got 18-inch full and 6-inch counted. It's got 2 shots. Accuracy is 3+ with 7 energy, and it's penetrative. And then you've got 2 chain guns, one on the left and one on the right. 36 inches or 18 inches counted. 4 shots each, and they are 3+ with 6 energy, and they've got a focus of 2. And again,
So
it's a really cool looking tank.
yeah. So a 16-inch naval gun, which was what was used on the Iowa class battleship in World War II. That's 406 millimeters, so it's not quite 16 inches. What did you find, George?
So, if I remember
close.
correctly, I think the smallest naval cannon ever was, I think, a
5
12-inch gun.
They had 5 inches on destroyers, but yeah, for the main stuff, about 12. So
Yeah. So this converts into an 8.6 inch. So not quite, naval artillery, but an 8.5 inch round.
It's kind of nuts.
That's yeah. So
Captain Sox, are you right to cover the Pizarro?
yep. So the Pizarro Hazard Walker has 95 points, squad size of 1 again, shocking. 8-inch move, so pretty fast little guy. Active countermeasures as well as evasion +2. 14 armor, 4 damage. It's a walker type. It has an infiltrate of 12 inches. So I'm guessing when you deploy, you can infiltrate them up to 12 inches. Not very familiar with that rule. Don't play resistance. It is rare, so you're limited on the number that you have in your army based on points of your game size. For weapons, it has 2 different types of weapons. It has a chain gun, which is a move and fire 0 of no move and fire value. Full front arc, range full is 36 inches, range countered is 18. 4 shots, 3+ accuracy, 6 energy, and focus 2 on that. And then it has industrial cutting claws. Again, no move and fire value added for that, so it can move its full 8 inches and still fire. Front arc, 1 inch full, 1 inch countered, 4 shots, 2+ accuracy, energy 10, so it's just pretty much cutting through stuff. And then it has an optional weapon capability. It has deforestation missiles, no move and fire value, arc full forward, range full is 24 inches, range countered is 18. 4 shots, 4+ accuracy, 7 energy, Devastator 3 for flammable scenery. So in other words, burn down the forest as much as you want, and you can replace the chain gun with that at no cost if you want to.
So it depends on whether you're going to want to go for. What was that? Sorry.
Is that George?
I was gonna say, does it play Fortunate Son while it shoots? Burn down the forest.
Yeah.
So it's very clearly going to be a matter of whether you want this to go against things or whether you want it to go against scenery. I kind of get the impression with this that this probably used to be designed for forest and has been co-opted. Because, it's resistance and that's what they do with a lot of their things.
Mm-hmm.
My screen capture's doing that weird thing again. And then finally, do you have it
The
up, George?
Relay hovercraft. It has a move of 10 inches, a CM of A, E+1. Armor is 13, damage 3. Type skimmer, special. It is resilient. The weapons is a double missile pod. It has no move and fire array number. Its arc is front. The RF is 36 inches. The range close. The range close is 9 inches. The show is 2. The ACC is 3+. E is 8. Special is penetrative. That sounds naughty.
And it's got a little special rule down there at the bottom.
Yes, it has a scanner array. At any point during this unit's activation, pick an enemy unit within line of sight. Until the end of the round, friendly units reroll dice results of 1 when rolling to hit against this unit's squad.
So very much a support body, this one.
Yeah, so based
That's for
on
you.
what I know of Drop Zone Commander, the gun on this is pretty halfway decent. But that scanner array, that's pretty cool because that allows you to really just focus fire. And, you know, if you're Jason, you get to re-roll your ones.
Yeah, and then roll once again.
Yeah. Hopefully not.
And I just want to say, this looks like it's something straight out of straight out of G.I. Joe.
Oh, totally.
It just feels G.I. Joe to me.
Yeah, because the G.I. Joe, they did have the big hovercraft that could drop the depth charges and stuff like that. It was a big old monster toy.
I'm trying to remember if it was a Cobra or if it was G.I. Joe, though. I think it was actually G.I. Joe.
It was a Joe unit.
Yeah.
Remember, I grew up with that Saturday televised government recruiting tool. Try to tell me if it's anything else, and I will tell you how you are wrong.
One of the whole things behind that is that they wanted to... Well, it was started as something that they wanted to be accurate with. Now, obviously, it didn't end up that way with the 3.5-inch lines, but that is what it started as.
Yeah. Aesthetically, I love the look of the Hazard Walker.
I agree.
That is just
unit-wise, again, this is like... They all have very strong places. I think my preference goes towards the tank, but it's not to say that it's better than the others. I honestly could see myself fielding all 3 of them.
I think the Hydra is probably like the solid money one, for 2 reasons. Okay, 3 reasons actually. The scanner array.
Yeah.
That's going to allow you to focus fire something down really quick. And in the case of, what is it, your Coyote Walker or whatever with the
Pizarro, yeah.
The Shaltari one where it's like, I'm going to shoot through everything, focus fire that. Yeah, stuff like that. That's a great little ability. Your double missile pod, that's a decent little weapon. I mean, I understand enough that, it's an energy of 8, so that's on the little, above 50% average as far as the game goes, if I'm understanding correctly, right?
Something like that.
And then, its range is decent. I mean, 36 inches, that's a majority of the board. So, and then it's 70 points. It's a command unit that's not going to eat up a lot of points for your army.
Yeah.
That being said, though, that tank, holy smoke. Let me sit there and eat your face with that tank.
Yeah.
While I shoot 8.5-inch shells at you.
Yeah, right.
No, I
Yeah.
would probably go with the tank too. I mean, yes, it's slow, so you're gonna have to use the drop ship that's specialized to carry that to move it around.
Yeah.
To get in position first. But,
2-inch move, jeez.
Well, that is the game, though.
Yeah, that's PHR. PHR is very slow too. They've kind of beefed it up a little bit for PHR for their walkers. They've allowed them to move a little bit, but just how much devastation you can do with that cannon, it's gonna be nasty.
In regards to the infiltrate rule, now I haven't looked this up, but I'm just going by memory here. So if I'm wrong, Michelle, it's okay. I'm allowed to be wrong. I'm just thinking of the way that resistance works in the game, is that they have those drills that can come up from the ground and the forces can come out of those. Maybe the infiltrate is how far out of the drill it comes? Or how far away from the enemy it has to be fielded there. It's either that or it's what you said, which is that it's an extra 12 inches in.
So if you look at the icons, you got the little bus icon for the Hazard Walker. It's going to have to be carried in on a Leviathan craft. It's not going to be...
Okay.
It's based on the transport icons that they have it on there.
Yeah. No, well, I'm wrong then. That's right. It was just a thought.
Yep.
All right.
I'm just comparing.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I was just looking at the Napoleon heavy tank, which, let me. So, that's actually really interesting. The Napoleon heavy tank is 20 points more, and it doesn't have a gun that shoots an 8.5-inch round, anywhere it wants to on the board. So that Alexander heavy tank, that's actually really solid.
Yeah. There's a reason I want it. Well,
yeah.
Yeah. Upcoming events?
At the apex of forthcoming things.
I can finally listen to that without doing this.
No, you just did it. It's so fast.
All right, upcoming events. All right. We have the Conquest Gaming Convention coming up in April of next year, from the 15th to the 17th of April. If you want information on that, it's conquest.a for Apple, S for Sam, N for Nelly.au. We also have, on the 27th of November, the Toowoomba Conquest Tournament is happening at Battle Station Toowoomba on the 27th of November. I just said that. 1,200 points. It's arrive at 10 a.m. for a 10:30 start. $20 for the day, which includes your lunch. And that one is an old one, so I won't read that one. But Pack X has confirmed that it's returning next year. We do not have dates yet. For those that are wondering what Pack X is, that's the convention that I went to a year and a half ago where I was demoing Dropfleet. So hopefully I'll be able to attend that again. It's kind of a very much a you come along to test games and play games type thing. It's very much, it's board games, it's role-playing games, and it's tabletop games. So it's very much hands-on, kind of like the one that Michelle helps run and goes to quite regularly.
I can't remember what that one's called now for some reason.
Spielessen? Is it Spielessen or is that the other one? It's one of them.
The yeah,
tell us in the notes about how we're bad for forgetting, Michelle.
We're horrible friends.
It's not that we don't care. There's a lot of things to remember.
And we just can't be bothered.
Yes, exactly. All right. Thank you to those that support us. If you're in a position where you can consider doing that, for only $2 a month, you can support us on Patreon. You get immediate access to the video version of this podcast when the audio goes live, as opposed to having to wait until the following week, like the rest of the world. You also get early access to at least 80% of the videos that we post on our YouTube channel. And you can find that at patreon.com/gettingtabled. You can also find us on Facebook, which is at facebook.com/gettingtabled. And our YouTube now actually has a proper unique thing. youtube.com/gettingtabled. I know that that's going to be a huge surprise to everybody. I know, right? It's almost like we have a brand. Thank you for those that came across and started subscribing to us after the Conquest month that I did, because that's what got us over the line to finally be allowed to get that. If you would like to reach out to our team and ask us questions, or ask if we can cover something, ask our opinion on something, maybe we'll cover it in the show. Gettingtabled@gmail.com, Twitter @gettingtabled, Instagram @gettingtabled, and we have a website, gettingtabled.weebly.com.
We just need to get that, so it's just gettingtabled.com at some point. That's in the future though.
We need more Patreon supporters before we can afford that.
We do. Yeah, we absolutely do. Until then, though, this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For listening to Getting Table. Music used in this podcast was created by Eric Matthias at soundimage.org.
Play more games.
You could look less creepy when you do that, just so you know, Bruce.
Wait, there's an intensity thing on this?
Does it have?
Oh my god, there is two!